your sheriff, Gordon Smith, been the sheriff now going on 14 years. I started my law enforcement career in 1986 with some children that are sitting in this room, Miss Bennett, not throwing any names out there. We started a long time ago. I am proud to be your sheriff. I'm proud to get back out here doing our town hall meetings. Because of the recent China virus, we've not been allowed to basically for the last 2 years do what we normally do in and about our community. Each year we like to showcase where your tax dollars are being spent, how they're being spent, and answer your questions. It is my pleasure. Over here to the left, you'll see basically the command staff of the Sheriff's Office. We're 101 employees strong. And when you say Sheriff's Office, it's not just law enforcement and corrections. We do everything from animal control, code enforcement, mapping, 911, emergency management, court services. All that security is what we do. And a lot of times we don't just do more with less, we have to do more with nothing. But however, I can assure you that to your team, nobody's going to know Bradford County more than we do. They come out each and every day. The presentation you see done, I want to give kudos to Zach. Can't appreciate you enough for what you do. Our crime scene, technical guy that goes in and out when there's a crime. He processes, he does all the technology type driven stuff. What a great young man. And I can't say, Zach, thank you. We couldn't do this without you. So I appreciate it. I do want to introduce you because any time when we close this thing down, if you have any questions, please approach them. They're all approachable. If you've got a question and we cannot answer it, I assure you we will find an answer and get back with you. Sometimes it's not the one you like, but we will get back with you. We want to be totally transparent and honest. To my left, I'm going to start over here about Zach. We got Captain Josh Luke. He's there. He's our chief investigator. Also over our communications in Bradford County. In Bradford County, your communication center does the communications, dispatching for fire, rescue, law enforcement, the city of Stark, the city of Lawdy. It even does the after-hour utility calls for the city of Stark. If their sewer is backed up, the power goes out, they do it all. So those men and women in that center have the hardest job by far. With us is our school protection resource. He is the person in charge of all school security. Lieutenant Sean Bergen. Next to him, you have Lieutenant Mike Sweeney. He's over special investigations, the narcotics unit. Next to him is Captain Kevin Mueller. So Kevin and his family, I was with Kevin's very first day in law enforcement. It's been quite some time. Back in the day, still one of the biggest drug busts, marijuana busts in Bradford County. Indoor grow, hydroponics, way back 20 plus years ago. Next to him is our famous sports star, Lieutenant Bill Gooch, over court services, played football in Bradford County, played about every sport you can think of. Still with our SWAT team, to be his age and be in his shape is kind of a sickening, to be honest with you, to be in your shape that he is. But he's not only that, he's a very good Christian man, and him and his family. Next to him is Major George Conkell, Chief of Operations. He oversees your fleet of vehicles, about 60 vehicles in Bradford County, everything from animal control truck to emergency management trucks to the boats to the all-terrain vehicles to about everything we have in the fleet you can think of. He's in charge of, but he oversees the reports and day-to-day operations. With that, our finance lady, who tells me no more than my wife, Miss Trish Tucker. She's been with the sheriff's office a long time, as a former sheriff. She's the one that counts the pennies. She'll spend a dollar to save a dime, I promise you. She's going to find out where it's spent. She's the one, because of GASB, Government Accountability Standards. There's certain things you can or cannot do. That's her responsibility. And she says, no, Sheriff, you can't do that. No, that's illegal, or this is what it's budgeted for, we're in budget, we're out of budget. She walks in my room and says, hey, we gotta watch this, gas is going up. Those type of things. And we have, of course, our main function is patrolling. It's a little difficult right now, but she works that and watches it religiously. Can't thank her enough for that. Next to her, Lieutenant Dalton Diggs, Captain Dalton Diggs, I'm sorry, Captain Dalton Diggs. We go back a long way as friends, as family. My family, been intermingled our whole life. Dalton was working with our youth out of Camp Blanding. I actually went to him and recruited him. What a phenomenal asset we've had over at our jail side. He gets all the headaches of the jail in and out every day. Who gets out, who's in, who goes in front of the judge. Nearly 2,000 transports a year, bringing people to and from the courthouse, to and from the jail. He has to coordinate that each and every day. With him is Major Don McKinley. She has been with the sheriff's longer than any other employee here. They may not look like it. She started under then Sheriff Dolph Reddish 3 sheriffs ago. From Dolph Reddish to Kenneth Etheridge to Bob Milner to now myself. She has the knowledge, she has the institutional knowledge, and she runs one of the quietest jail operations every year. We get our inspections. We go through the model jail standards and our inspections, and she oversees that, and we constantly meet or exceed. And they always comment how quiet and clean our jail facility is, working in a 25, 30-year-old facility. Lieutenant Beth Griffin, she does the paperwork, she does the hard stuff. She really does. And classifying inmates, which ones are risky, which ones are not, which ones are higher risk, those type things. And the jail is quite an operation in and of itself. So I just want to say a big thank you to them. Those are the men and women that serve you each and every day. And we try to make our agency as diverse as the community that we serve. So with Bradford County, take out the inmate population, leaves us about 25,000 plus citizens within our community. None of that, we operate anywhere between 11 and 15% people of color. And when I took over as the sheriff, I made it a goal that we make the agency as diverse as the community we serve. And I'm proud to say we operate at about 17%. So we've accomplished that. But we didn't look for color, we looked for competence, character, and their ability. And for that, I'm proud. We didn't sacrifice any of our values to recruit the men and women that we have, and they love our community. So thank you all. I appreciate y'all coming out. And I will throw this in. There were some people that didn't want to see this happen. This is a gold mine in Bradford County. Not just for financial, but I'm telling you, the beauty of it, it's one of the best assets we've come to have and enjoy and open to our community. It gets talked about all the time. I know I had my fellow sheriff from Putnam County come down with his family the other day and spend some time here. I've had sheriffs from other jurisdictions and friends and family from other jurisdictions coming here. This is really an asset to Bradford County, to you. I personally want to say thank you and to your staff and everything you do in providing this tonight for us. So without further ado, I want to get started. Every year we do a publication, and you'll see some on the table here. We've got more if you need it. To show you what we're doing. It's been 2 long years. But you need to know how your tax dollars are being spent. Being one of the largest budgets within the county, you need to know how it's being spent. We need to be held accountable. We have to answer those tough questions when they come about. It's a tough time in our communities. Trying to find out how the commissioners have to fund these things. They want to be held accountable. Sheriff's budget's a little different as a constitutional officer, but we don't mind showing what we do. So with that being said, I'm going to start off. Citizen of Bradford County, I love for more than 35 years. I'm currently serving in my 4th term as your sheriff. I'm entrusted with the responsibility of providing for the peace and safety of all citizens. Whether you have your friends, family, anybody traverses through our county, I'm held responsible. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith. Faith that I will uphold my oath of office and maintain a strong understanding of my fundamental duty to serve mankind, safeguard lives and property, and to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the people of this county. I will let you know I'm very conservative when it comes to crime and punishment. I'm a big believer in the Constitution and our Second Amendment rights. Over the years, we've had people come forward. So what if the government says you had to come seize our guns? I'm not coming as long as I'm your sheriff, I assure you. I believe that's a fundamental right. You see me lobbying Tallahassee for open carry, constitutional carry. I believe law-abiding citizens should have that choice if they deem so. I can tell you that. I'm a strong supporter. As there's a viral video out there, me testifying in front of the Senate, where I said, if you don't like guns, I'm okay with that. That's your choice. If you don't like it, if you don't like it, get a can of wasp spray. And I can tell you, My daughter, when she went to college, she's been around guns her whole life. She's been hunting with me, right? The hunting club. She didn't care about having a gun. We got our cans of wasp spray. Now, the wasp manufacturers don't want me to tell you that. But the same stuff that makes them bees drop from the hives will also shut your eyeballs. They'll slam shut. You won't be able to see a thing. And it sprays 20, 25 feet. So there's options out there for you to make you feel safe. But I think that's an option. If you're a law-abiding citizen in this country, you should have that choice. That's just a personal philosophy. I have plenty of friends that think different. Just because you think different to me, don't mean I don't serve you and I'm not going to love you. I promise you. Each year we compile the prior year's service statistics to include crime stats, calls received, and the number of types of crime. We're going to go through that, and our budget's approximately $7 million. Now we show $6.5 million. You'll see a line graph for the budget items there that we received from the clerk's office. If you'll see that, I think it's on an individual sheet. It'll show about $6.5 million. We used about $500,000 additional dollars from what they call the jail set-aside fund. That's where we house inmates. Back years ago, we used to take that money each year and spend it. I had a wise businessman come to me out of one of these meetings and said, "Sheriff, why don't y'all bank that money instead of just spending it? Bank it." Well, guess what? We started banking it. It started out as a little bit. It started growing as we housed more inmates because the sheriff before me had lost the federal contract. We started housing inmates. By doing that, we was able to upgrade the jail to a state-of-the-art jail facility. With doing that, we was able to kick off our Safe Schools program, working with our Board of County Commissioners. We had to put a deputy in every one of the schools in the county. That took an overhead of about $500,000. We actually only spent about $300,000, put the rest back in the pot. It also bought our statewide communication system. So everybody, fire, rescue, law enforcement, have an 800 megahertz radio transmission system that would compete with the state, or work with the state on, and save us a lot of taxpayers' dollars. But that was able to help us do that. This past year, like I say, it actually gave our men and women of law enforcement a pay raise, and actually the employees of the county a pay raise. So with that setting aside, so it has some advantages by banking it and saving it, and I still believe in saving money if we can. Because it's, you entrust with us a big responsibility, and we need to be spending your tax dollars wisely. Here's our command staff. We went through that. There's a picture there in the book. In that book, you'll also find all your constitutional officers and your Board of County Commissioners. Up there on that board, you'll see their email address and their phone number. You employ them. They work for you. Don't let them forget it. That's why that information's up there, the same as mine. You need them, you reach out to them, you contact them. Sometimes you may not get an answer. I mean, sometimes it's difficult questions. I can tell you, my job, there's a lot of times I have to give answers that aren't real well received. But we still have to be honest. And when you make a decision, sometimes you've got to live by it. And sometimes it's not always the most favorable opinion. In my job, I've learned one thing in the going on 36 years. The customer is not always right. And their opinion doesn't necessarily change the facts of the case or their idea. But it's hard to explain that when you're dealing with friends. A lot of y'all in this room are my friends, and we've had tough conversations back and forth and dealing with realities. But at the end of the day, honesty will always be the best policy. And years later, sometimes they've come back and said, "You know what, I had some hard feelings, but I understand why you did it now." Same way we do with our kids sometimes, our own family members. So that information is there for you. You'll see some photographs there from our drone to our new comm center. The comm center was redone with appropriations money through Representative Bobby Payne and Senator Bradley. We got an appropriation for $750,000 a year ago, which upgraded completely to technology-wise of our communications center within the Sheriff's Office of Bradford County, which I'm going to tell you to this day is still one of the hardest jobs. People wanted law enforcement or fire or rescue 5 minutes before they called. And that person on the other end of that line has to hear you screaming, hollering. And I'll tell you this, most people don't realize when you dial 911, it's recording. Whether somebody picks up that phone or not, it's already recording what you're saying. So they can go back and pull those 911 tapes for court or public records requests, we get those things. But when you pick it up and you're talking, that thing is already recording. So be mindful of that. We've picked up some interesting conversations. Well, here's what happens. Remember, cell phones now, over 80% of our phone calls to 911 come in via cell phone. So when you see that wreck, that somebody has to drive down to somebody's house and there's a wreck down the road, now there's 20 people with a cell phone calling in at the same time. And there's only 2 to 3, 4 at the tops. During certain times, people there to answer those calls. So be patient. That usually is because they're taken from somebody else. We're proud of firing range training awards, our canine in the school. We received that canine from Andy Pollock. Andy Pollock's daughter was killed on Valentine's Day 2 years ago. Now, his daughter was killed down in Broward County in the notorious now school shooting event. He has a foundation. We've actually received 2 canine dogs and training for them. They seen the need, we applied. And Andy Pollock actually, because we were one of the first Guardian programs in the state, and I wish Brad was here, his team, Captain Josh Luke and Mike Sweeney, Lieutenant Sweeney, put those procedures in place that have been plagiarized throughout the state. Myself and the Colonel Brad Smith, the undersheriff, he's in the back there trying to hide. We've traveled to other jurisdictions. Everybody knows Grady Judge. He's the most famous to speak on his behalf at the Guardian graduations. We've been to Volusia County. We've been a lot of places. But we're proud of the program to keep our schools safe. Because we've done it for years before that program ever came along. So we was able to do that. In the middle, you'll see the men and women of color that serve our community each and every day. We're proud to get our, the same, as I told you earlier, the same makeup as the community we serve. Something we're very proud of. Our physical review, the Bradford County Sheriff's Office has not received additional funding for the last 3 years. We've kept a steady course. Not because we want to. I can promise you, we can always find something to buy or spend. But because of the need of our county, the need of our community, we understand there's other things. Fire, rescue, road department. It's great. If you have a big sheriff's office, a big fire, and a big rescue, but if you ain't got a road you can get down, it doesn't do you any good. Road department's important. To me, the library is important. My children grew up in the library. My grandkids growing up in the library. My daughter's a teacher. My son-in-law is assistant principal at high school. The library is important, and it's not just books anymore, by the way. If you haven't been to our Bradford County Library, most of it's technology. People that don't have access. Not everybody in this county has high-speed internet. Kids that do their schoolwork, because when they go home, don't have access to that. The library is very important. We put a deputy over there every afternoon to keep the peace and be seen where kids can go there and do those type of things that they don't have access to in the rest of the county. So it's very important. Grants and appropriations, $2,306,454, and we've raised $3,254,000 with some change in inmate housing. That's what the feds pay us to house their inmates. Now the good thing is they also take care of the medical. So when they have to go to the hospital, those type of things. This year it's created a kind of a challenge for us because Dr. Pete Giannis, which was our medical doctor for 100 years here in Bradford County, passed away. And we got by on the cheap because he made a lot of decisions that there's nobody there to make that decision. So our medical costs, our hospitals changed. We don't have a hospital. We have an urgent care center. With the urgent care center, they usually go there and then they're getting shipped. Well, then I've got to send 2 correctional deputies with them to the hospital. So a lot of things. So we're out of whack there. We're looking at other options. We're looking at privatizing. A lot of those different things on the horizon that we've got to make serious decisions about with our Board of County Commissioners and how we're going to handle that. Because I can tell you, our first 5 months in, we're $105,000 overspent in inmate medical. Now the law that relies on the county, but I know what's there. We work the budgeting process each and every day within our county. So I've got to look at other options. We're looking at other hospitals. We're talking to Union County, a lot of different areas to try to bring that back into check. If not, we won't be able to send as much of our inmate money back over to the county to be saved. And right now, saving is important. It carries on the other functions of the county. Here it is, our 2018 to 2022 Bradford County budget breakdown. The Bradford County Sheriff's Office budget, there's some on the table. Covers law enforcement, corrections, court services, emergency management, countywide communications, mapping, 911 services, code enforcement, school protection services, animal services, in addition to other services. That kind of shows you where the costs have been over the last, from 2018 to 2022. So that gives you kind of an eyeball look at where the money's being spent in the county. These numbers come from our county clerk. He gives the numbers and we plug them in. So it kind of gives you a bar graph to see where your costs and all are at. what you're spending your taxpayer dollars on. Communications, we talked about it. Most of the time, you may have 3 in there. On certain busy times, we know what about the busy times are. We try to put 4 in there. One of the hardest positions to fill in our sheriff's office is the comm center, because they're handling call after call, and people screaming, and people mad, people upset. It goes back and forth quite a bit. But 70,176 telephone calls were answered. 16,946 were 911 calls. Those are the answer calls. There's a thing in that system that tells you which calls are answered. 49,106 CAD calls created. That's computer automated dispatch. They go in there when you call in and say, this is Gordon Smith. They're typing that in. The officer may not have to do a report on it. It may be, hey, I've got a barking dog and I can't sleep. And the deputy responds. That's a CAD call. He goes out, talks to the people. No offense report generated. But it's a CAD call. We had 13,644 traffic stops. We had 46,894 property checks. You leave out of town, people say, hey, I'm leaving out of town, can you come by and check my residence while I'm gone? We get emergency contact, we have a form, they fill it out, it goes to the deputy's computer, there's laptops you see in the car. When you see that, they can't clear it till they go by and check it, because now everything's GPS. In your patrol cars in Bradford County, they're not only GPS, but every one of them have an in-car camera that's all the time recording. So when they come back, like not too long ago, the deputy said, I don't know what happened to my car. They went back and looked, well, they went through a mud puddle on one of the dirt roads at about 75 miles an hour, and it messed up the car, the intake of those low-riding Chargers. He got himself in a little bit of trouble. I think the major was a little upset with him. Got his red hair flared, his freckles popping out. So those happen because they're always recording. 2021 has been another interesting year for our comm center. Our communications officers have weathered another bout of the COVID-19 pandemic, gone through changes in staffing and our vision, and never batted an eye. These men and women have pushed through these hard times with a great attitude and have never asked for anything extra in return. I cannot give big enough credit, because remember, they're in a capsule. They're in a bubble. So when one person got sick, guess what happened? Everybody's sick. There's not very many of them. There was days we was lucky to have 1 in there. And we were having to pull people in the whole sheriff's office as a whole through COVID. But we managed it. We weathered the storm. And I'm telling you, can't give enough credit to those men and women in there. Majority are women. They can do multitasking a whole lot easier than us men can, I promise you. That's true. That's a true story. I'm not ashamed of it. We've had a lot of men try out for that position. Very, very, very few ever make it. And we got some of Clay County ahead. He can tell you, it's a tough job. I wouldn't want it. I don't walk in there, I'm loud, and I ask a lot of questions when I shouldn't be, and the phones are ringing. They're like, Sheriff, can you leave? Because I get busy talking and off track, so I try to stay out of there and disrupt them, because they're answering call after call. They got lights in there telling you who's on the line, what phone. I don't pay attention, and I get in trouble. I can do it home. Emergency management. In total, we participated in 38 planning meetings, 27 deployments, 7 trainings, 4 public engagement opportunities. And I'll be honest with you, Brad Wynn, who's not here tonight, he's actually finishing up his degree. I think he had something with his child maybe that he was able to attend. This young man is involved. Everything from drones. We had a missing kid in Putnam County, as y'all know, was just found in a septic tank, which was not good. That's happened twice in my career in Bradford County. If you got a septic tank, cover the dang thing up, please. There's too many of these tragedies, but we have an escaped inmate. We have somebody that flees. The other night in Union County, we spent 2 days out there with drones, which that gentleman's captured. He did shooting of 3 individuals right down the road on 100 in Union County. 1 deceased, 2 others wounded. He's now in custody in jail. They used the drones. They got fleers. Y'all, this is no lie. I'm watching. We'll go over a cow pasture. We're watching, and I said, "What's those red drops?" He said, "That's the cow pooping, Sheriff." You can see the heat off the manures the cows do. That's how well those fleers work on those drones. So it's pretty interesting, and they can cover a lot of territory really quick with the FLIR system. You may have seen us activating the Emergency Operations Center, deploying the agency's mobile command post, responding to hazardous material spills, conducting public presentations, participating in training, responding to severe weather incidents, speaking at public meetings, organizing mobile COVID-19 vaccination sites, which was big. We had used our inmate work squads We have 4 work squads in Bradford County. When I took over, we had 1. But those are very important. There's no reason, with many inmates as we have, that there's trash along the roads in our community. That's a pet peeve of mine. I know it's, with most commissioners it is, because that's one of the big complaints you get is about trash. We got a lot of dump sites, and nobody anchors anything down. Nobody covers any trash. So it goes in everybody's yards, they're going to and from the dump. Or as a bunch of us old redneck boys do, we'll throw our beer cans and our trash in the back of the truck, and when we get up about 55, it'll blow out for us. And we claim we didn't know. So those are type issues we deal with, so we try to keep that up. Responding to requests for logistical support for public safety agencies or attending planning meetings. In addition, we are active participants in the local mitigation strategy workshop, the Intergovernmental Communications Fund Work Group, the Bradford County Emergency Operations Planning and Design Team, the local emergency planning committee, and other work groups focused on planning. Now I'm going to tell you, if you want to get involved, this mitigation, if you live on a lake, there's some here of the lake folks, and down here the lake folks that are on the lake, this is very, very important. It's also very important for those like our fairgrounds. They were able to obtain one of the new buildings they got a couple of years ago for several $1 million because it's also become one of our emergency shelters. They built it to all the new requirements, but because in mitigation, it says one of our needs, when you apply for these grants, you apply for the appropriations, these things don't count with the numbers to get the monies that you need. It takes a lot of work, and I've got a great staff that does that. I'm usually in there just talking as usual, but they get the work done. So I'm proud of them and what they've accomplished. I know this year, as we move forward, we talked about the budget a little bit. I'm going to backstep. The governor has done something for what they call the physically constrained counties. 29 of them in the state of Florida, 27, 29. I can't remember exactly the number. That are physically constrained. He's done the same thing as he's done for school teachers. So now he's taken all deputy sheriffs and started to pay the salary of $45,000. Now he says that, but the good thing is he's gave us the money, reoccurring monies, that's in their general budget for each year to have reoccurring monies to make sure that your deputy sheriffs, that's about a $7,000 pay raise for our minimum. The jail, they'll move them to 41.5, and my question when I was up there, I was thankful, so I didn't want to act like I was, because the governor's staff does have somebody that's local from Clay County that sits up there. When I got to spend about an hour with her and talk to her, she's like, well, we can't pay you more, pay the Department of Corrections for your corrections folks. So that was some of the reasons. So we're trying to, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work yet. We're trying to work some of that math back and forth, because I can tell you that jail, it's not fun. You're stuck there 12 hours a shift. It ain't run to the Jiffy store. It's not getting to help a lady walk across the road. It's not help some citizen with a tire. You're stuck there with people incarcerated. It's not always fun. It's a tough job. It really is. I started there at Florida State Prison my 19th birthday. That was the 2 happiest days of my life. The day I started and the day I left. You're in the bars closed behind me. That's not an easy job by far. And I think every law enforcement officer should have to work corrections to have a better understanding. Criminal investigations, we had a 9% decrease in criminal cases forwarded to the Criminal Investigations Division from previous year. Of 423 cases to 385 cases in 2021 is attributed to a higher arrest rate, along with proactive law enforcement work throughout surveillance, proactive operations, intelligence-led policing, and hard work. And I know we got people in here from Clay Electric, and I want to say thank you, because we do a lot of work with the utility companies, whether it be pole cams, needing power in an obsolete place. I can't thank them enough for as many times we've called upon them without question, have showed up to help. We've got Florida Power and Light here. They've showed up to help us when we come creative in trying to put cameras and sensors and tracking devices all over this county. Technology's gotten us a long ways. Surveillance, and that's just some of the arrests. You can see that, it's up there, it's in your book. You can see there, you can count the numbers. And our criminal investigations, saw a 6.5% increase in the arrests. They made 154 arrests. They said, how many people work in there? 5. They stay busy. You can see the number of cases. CID cleared 81% of the cases forwarded to them. For investigations, case clearance runs around 33% on average for most agencies. Now it works when you have locals, you have people that are out in the community that hear information and pick up on stuff. and working with the surrounding areas, our neighbors, all the way around us. I can't ask for a better group of people to work with. Everything from Sheriff Cook, Mark Hunter, and Brad Whitehead. You know, we've got a great relationship with the surrounding counties, Alachua, Putnam, Sheriff Gator Deloach, all those people. We're pretty fortunate. In 2022, we'll continue to strive to improve investigation strategies through diligent and efficient police work, along with a continued dedication and hard work. CID will seek further education, deployment of new forensic and investigative technologies. Thank you, Zach. That's the young man over there. We did steal it from Alachua County, by the way, because it is better in Bradford County. Just in case you hadn't heard that, it is better in Bradford. And we've had men and women leave us for more money and return home when they realize sometimes it's the working conditions versus the cash. And that makes me feel good as the sheriff, I'll be honest with you. Investigative skills better serve. Anyone can hold the helm when the sea is calm. It is the true test of a crew who must weather the storm together and mirror one another as a single, seamless unit in order to tame the wild sea. Little quotes I throw in. These people work hard on these stats. They get to show off what they've done during the year. We're audited, so you say, how do you get the numbers? Well, FDLE comes in and audits you. We get audited on our crime stats. We get audited on our UCR, which ain't going to UCR much longer. We're going to a whole new system the federal government's going to, which is, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's a little complicated for me. So we'll see how that works over the next couple of years. It's going to track crimes a little more individually so we can break them down, because a lot of crimes fall in one class. It'll break that down for you. The recovery. You know, how do you know? It's like us, we work a wreck, the car gets hit, and you say, you got to estimate what the damage is. I put $500 down. Well, next thing you know, it goes to the body shop, and it's $5,000. It's hard, it's a guesstimate. And when you work people, a burglary, you'll say, how much was that shotgun worth that your grandpa gave you? It's worth $1 million. You know, you got to put a price on everything. It's hard to keep track of it, so that the dollar amounts all get a little shaky sometimes of what you recovered and what you haven't recovered in regards to it. So working together, our patrol division answered 27,196 calls for service. And remember, our county, minus the inmates, is 25,000 plus. We have some frequent flyers. But during the year of 2021 and 8,051 requests for extra patrol, we had 3,756 traffic stops. Now, when you see the earlier statistics, you say, wait a minute, you had up there traffic stops. Well, remember, you got City of Stark, City of Lauding, that all comes through the comm center. So this is just ours. Among those, 1,134 resulted in written warnings, and only 488 resulted in a written citation. Our system tracks. If we stop Gordon Smith and they give me a warning, it goes into our system. So now when Deputy Jones stops Gordon Smith again, he said, look here, Mr. Smith, look, you've done had 4 warnings up here on the system. I'm writing you a citation. We gave you enough breaks. So when his mama calls, or his wife calls, which does happen, y'all, in regards to it, says, why'd you write my husband for doing 81 and a 45? Well, he was speeding. However, well, you know, he needs a break. He works for a living. He's got to have a drink. I said, you realize we done stopped him 4 previous times, and here's what they are? It kind of takes the gas out of the complaint. But we're tracking that because we use those numbers because every year we compete in the law enforcement challenge. And we have to use the numbers and the written citations. Those message boards you see, those were won out of the law enforcement challenge. We've been, of course, the last couple of years, it's kind of been put on hold because of the COVID. But that's how we received a lot of those boards, was through those challenges. Our radar that we put in the car come out of winning from that, out of those type of things. We also served 2,802 civil process papers, whether that be a subpoena to show up in court, whether it be your divorce papers, your child custody papers, your eviction. Those are what the men and women of the Patrol Division are doing each and every day out there. Our sex offender unit operates out of the jail. Our Department of Corrections over there. And that's when you see Major Don McKinley and Beth over there and Dalton. They oversee that unit. In our county, we have 74 predators registered within Bradford County. They used to be higher. It's a lot less now. Offenders registered in Bradford County, 217. Newly registered offenders or predators for the year was 4. Offenders, predators arrested, 19. You say, what were they arrested for? Well, they got a new check-in. We have a unit that goes out and checks their addresses if they're not there, and they haven't registered with us that they moved, we issue a warrant for their arrest. If they haven't told us about their Facebook, or they hadn't registered their email address with us, we find out they've been using another email, they always seem to get caught. Eventually. Those type of things, we issue a warrant for their arrest, we pick them up and take them to the Great Bar Hotel. So, that's what our sex offender unit does. Our judicial services, we talked about that. Now when you see this where it says entrance metal detector scans, $25,195, that's just the center complex. That's not your tax collector, your property appraiser, your supervisor of elections, your county manager, which is here by the way. Our county, Will, I'm glad you came out. Our county manager's here. That's not walking anywhere to go see them. There's the people that walk to the main part of the courthouse, like to the clerk's office, state attorney's office, public defender, trial, depositions, those type of things. You had $25,195. Trials, we had 18 trials. I think we're trying to play catch up for the years everything was put on hold. That is really high for us, actual trials. Out of the courts, they served 111 warrants. County transports, 436 transports. Federal transports, 348, because we have the federal inmates, but they pay. So that goes back into some of the transport vehicles you see us have. That's where we have 3 cars for single pickups, then we got 3 vans, an old van, 2 old vans, and we got 1 newer van that was able to obtain through the CARES Act funding, because we had to keep the inmates separate differently during COVID. Before we could transport them, you had to have all these different air techniques, so through CARES, we was able to buy one of those vehicles. Inmate gains. When you look over here at corrections, 1,379, inmate losses 1,301. We might have lost some somewhere. No, because sometimes you have people sit there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years prior to the outcome of their sentence, trial, whatever it may be. They sit there. So you got some long-term people that sit in there. These felonies were 613, misdemeanors 594. Our average daily count for last year was 167. That's how we average we keep them inside your jail facility here in Bradford County. 76 marshals, 86 marshal losses. Felony registrations, that's when you get convicted, you get out of prison. They got to come down and register so we know where you're going to be. For the loss, when they get released, they got to come register. If they don't register, guess what happens? So we find out that the DOC sends us that list and they haven't registered, we issue a warrant for their arrest. Incident reports, 2,151. We track anything and everything with the inmates. In our facility, you need to make sure the officers are making, the correctional deputies are making their checks. They got to scan. Every time they're making checks, it keeps track. Hence, somebody hangs themselves, somebody's doing something they should. You can say, did you make your checks? Yeah, I made your checks. I can tell you, Lieutenant Beth Griffin's going to be pulling that thing up going, something's wrong. There's a 2-hour gap in here. You had making checks. What were you doing? That's how we hold our people accountable. Those are the type of things we're doing. Inmate disciplinary reports is 173. Our use of force was 20, which is really low for a facility. Because most people you bring in there are not real happy. They are not what you call institutionalized yet. Most of us drive like the drunken disorderlies, the guy that's just bad. Those are rare. 20. Think of all the thousands up here we dealt with, and you had 20 use of force. That's pretty good. And every use of force has a report. So, all our people, we review those. Sergeant Conkell, Deputy Paul Moody, presented with the Police Hall of Fame Life-Saving Award. This following an incident where a young inmate was discovered hanging in the shower, and 2 were able to lift and free him from the twisted sheet that was around his neck, ultimately saving his life. Know what I said about them chicks? When you know that those 3 sitting over there can pull up any time, you're working a 12-hour shift, they want to make sure you're making your rounds. And through that, they were able to save a life. And they were honored by the Police Hall of Fame for the life-saving awards, how they handle that. Our medical, we do have to have inmate. Remember I told you, we're going to maybe look at something different because of the cost. We have medical. 86 transports outside the jail. Everybody comes into jail has got a heart problem. Oh, I would too. I'm not lying. I'd probably be a little upset myself. My blood pressure go up. They have that, or they had the bad tooth that they've had for 2 years where they're out running on the street, smoking meth and doing all those type of things. When they come to jail, guess what our responsibility is by law? care, custody, and control. And we have to treat their medical. You, the taxpayer, are their insurance. That broke arm, that broke finger, that hurt foot, the gout, the other issues, the high blood pressure, we're having to deal with all that. So 86 transports. Remember I told you the cost? You walk to that urgent care center and start, you're looking at $1,200, $1,500 a pop every time as they go through there. 15 were admitted to the hospital last year. Sick call, 1,786. Everybody wants an aspirin. Inmate physicals, 929. Doctor's clinic, 319. Employee drug screen, 68. We do the drug screen for the city of Stark and county. For new hires for the county, we do the drug screens and all those. We got medical staff there, so might as well do it there. It's cost savings. Blood pressure checks, 2,142. Our animal services outside work crew. The deputies and crews work throughout the year to assist the community with events, maintain county properties. Our Department of Correction inmate work hours, 6,253. I think we need to pay for the crime. Return something back to the community. And remember, all these inmates volunteer. It's not slave labor. They're not being made to. And if you sit in that cell all day long, it's amazing what they'll do. And most of them live within our community. When we had floods, I watched them snake infested, gator infested, up to their neck hauling, sandbags. Those type of things, when they set up for community events, cleaning up the nonprofits, doing those type of things. Intakes for the animals, 724, picked up 230, dropped off 381, outgoing animals, 735. I do want to give kudos to our animal control. They work with a lot of outside organizations, adoption agencies. From PETA to Paul's to the Mad Widow Women's Club, they deal with a lot of organizations. Now they have conflict themselves sometimes. And their animal control people have to work through those conflicts. You got one animal rescue group that says all bulldogs are to be put down. You got another one, feral cats is another thing. It's a lot of moving parts, and they work within that. You got two ladies that do that each and every day. Two ladies, 7 days a week. They handle all this and calls for service. People calling in, complaining, stray dog, that. We do it for all the cities, all the municipalities, and countywide, 4,798. That's what two ladies do. And there's Waldo, our school safety that you see out there. So, at this time, it was a quick overview of what we do, and you've heard me talk. Now what I'd like to do is go around. If there's anybody in the room that has a question of what you've seen, or think we may do, or what you've heard, we're open. If we don't know the answer, the staff will find that answer and get that answer to you. So as we're here, if there's anything you can think of, I can tell you a couple of ongoing things. On your table, you will see a barcode. I ask you, even if you live here, or you live somewhere else and you only come here 6 months out of the year, whatever it may be, you scan that. That right there will put you in contact with what we call Everbridge. Everbridge tells you and alerts you if we put out an emergency alert, whether it be an escaped inmate. Let's say there was a car chase here from a robbery and the guy bailed off and run. We would go to Everbridge and it would alert you to your phone. You said, what if I'm in California? What if I'm in Virginia? What if I'm in Ohio, Indiana? That's okay. What if your loved one's still here? Hey, lock the door. They said there's an escaped inmate. There's a tornado in the area. It does bad weather alerts. If there's a flood coming, this Everbridge is important to put on your phone and put that information. It is secure information. Please, please, please put that in your phone. And I'm asking you to share it with your friend. This is vitally important for quick, updated information of what's going on right here. You can put your address here. And you'll be surprised. Everbridge goes a lot of different jurisdictions. You may be able to put, if you have another home, you may be able to put that in there as well. So you'll have those alerts. We do have some share stickers up here to go on your car. We also, here, if you like shooting, I'm going to do a quick infomercial here. If you like to shoot, we're doing Shoot with the Sheriff. That is April 22nd. If you want to come out to one of the finest shooting ranges in the state at Bradford Sporting Clays, if you want to come out just to have fun and eat with us, we'll be out there. We also do a drawing for a rifle. As you can see there, it's got 3 or 4 magazines with it. Starro 223, they're $20 a piece. Every single dime goes back to local charity. Such as last year was girls softball, the football team. We did the Last year, I think it was year before last, we did the little classic drama class. We want to put it all back in the community. We don't have any intermediate. I think last year was $7,000. We raised it. We invited those organizations to write the checks and get rid of it. We can't keep it, so we put that out to the local community. So if you're interested, that's a short infomercial there for that. Do we have any questions? Yes, sir.
I'm here all the time now. The board of county Utah County Commissioner, District 3 or 4?
District 4. Commissioner Danny Riddick is here. He sat over next to the table there with you. I failed to introduce, we also got our fire chief, Ben Carter's here. Alan Parrish is the director of all the safety, emergency medical services. He's here sitting next to our county manager, Will Sexton. So they're here. If you've got questions, we're going to break this up and let you share your thoughts, talk privately, one-on-one, any question, but we're here, we work for you. You don't work for us, we work for you. That's when we want to come out and do these meetings and inform you just how your money is being spent. And these men and women need to hear from you. They need it, not just me. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
What about consolidating the social design here in
Well, they're looking at a lot of things. Here's the thing. And I love Chief Johnson. Chief Johnson's been a dear friend. His mama and my mom were best friends. They worked cafeteria together. My mama drove a school bus. Thank God for me, Mama. I wouldn't be where I'm at today. There's a lot of issues being discussed right now because here's the thing, and we've all heard this in this room. We can't keep doing what we've always done and expect different results. And now financially, not only for the county, but for the municipalities, they have to look at ways of merging. Back when we merged the comm center, Sarah, you was around back then, I had old county commissioners and old city commissioners, so that would never happen. It happened. It saved money, it saved lives, it cut down on response times. It was the best thing that ever happened in this county. We've consolidated a lot of things. The 911 and those types of stuff, we merged them with the sheriff's office and emergency management because it all worked hand in hand together larger. We could save money. We could give it back, but then they got to create those positions and it costs more money. So it's how you function together. Our fire, EMS, we're one team, one mission. We can't, look, I know it's a big issue. But I'm here to tell you, we got to have a fire department. I'm here to tell you, we got to have EMS. I'm at the age I need them. But those are my friends and family. And I'm going to tell you, we do a pretty damn good job until the politicians get in the way. I'm just going to be honest with you. Because everybody's got their own way of thinking. How we do it? I don't know. But I can tell you this, 3 budgets ago, a gal was taken and said, we're going to do it, don't know how we're going to pay for it. We're going to do our 3rd budget cycle. Guess what? We still ain't figured out how to do it. Now, that being said, they want to scrutinize everybody else. And I'm okay with it. I'm a big boy. I hold myself accountable to the people I serve. And I suggest the rest of them do the same thing. But I will tell you, you won't find a more ardent supporter of fire and rescue than the sheriff, because I did it. It's not an easy job. Not an easy job, but this county won't survive without it. We've got the service, we've got to find a way, and we need to do it, and we've got to fund it. So I want that to be said loud and publicly, because I don't think you'll find a better support. They're friends of mine, but they're not only friends, they're professionals. They've saved my family. I'm sure they've saved some other families in here. These men and women deserve to know that they got a job come the end of the budget cycle. They really do. I'm just being honest. And that relies on our Board of County Commissioners. I love each and every one of them. Go to church with one, I'm a neighbor to another one, know them all well. But we've got to quit kicking the can down the road. And I'll leave it at that, to be said. So. Yes, ma'am. Any ideas there? Got the Colonel sitting. I can't see it for one, but they're a little more tech savvy than I am. I'm a little old school. I can get on Facebook now and I can read my email. I'm doing pretty good. We have a lot of other people do that stuff for us. Any other questions, y'all? We move around. Please feel free. I'm open to anything. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. We have some. I got some in my truck. Yes, ma'am.
And do you bring your own firearms?
Bring your shotgun. It's a 12 gauge.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, it's Sheriff's Clay. Now, if you can shoot with a pistol, I'm going with your team. I'm telling you, because my eyesight anymore, I spray and pray. And I'm kind of, when you do skeet shooting, you go from different station to different station, and it shoots the clays up, and you shoot them. I live by the golfing rule. I got a pencil with an eraser. Nobody's watching each one of those posts. The only time I get caught is at the very end. All the neighboring sheriffs that come and shoot with us. We've got them coming from Vero to everywhere else. Then we're in front of everybody. Yeah, that's how. No problem. If you go with a pistol, and we got some people that are good enough. It's just not me. Skeet shooting is tough, but that's not a problem. It's some of the biggest fundraisers in the state, like we just did the Ronald McDonald, the big Boy Scouts. You still come, enjoy. We do food. It's a good time to socialize and meet people in your community. It's over in Graham. And I'm going to tell you something. You won't find a better showcase of being able to do that, because that's where they hold the state light shoots and all. People come from all over. So we're thankful for that in regards. Yes, ma'am.
There's a lot of traffic here, coming and going. There was a major wreck down here a week or so ago. What are the plans to fit into?
I'm probably going to offend somebody from the DOT. Look, one is their numbers are different than our numbers for whatever reason. I can tell you there's people in this room that have fought with DOT to get a red light. We need a red light. One is we got to move the dump where it's at now currently, and it needs to be moved somewhere else, because there's a lot of fine people live here, don't need to be living across from that. We got other things that we can do, and that's, I think, something in the future. But people pulling in and out of there, it creates quite a hazard when the crossing is at an angle, so that creates another problem. But one is the speed, so now they're going to give us a flashing yellow light and reduce the speed, like people pay attention to speed limit signs. If speed limit signs work, why do we need law enforcement officers? I'm just asking, so I tell you, we all know they don't work. We can't control the behavior of the driver. We're looking at some other things for crime. We're working with the people here about license plate readers. There's new technology that's going to allow us, hopefully, in the coming months, we'll use some of our fines and forfeiture funds that's set over in the county that can be used for crime prevention to buy license plate readers, so it will tell us a lot of information. If there's a crime in an area, we say it's a red car, we can cycle the red cars that went through that intersection in the last 24 hours. It's phenomenal. All your surrounding agencies now are using that, Clay County, and we have access to theirs. We've solved some crimes recently just by using their information, not ours. So as technology advances, we're trying to keep up with it, even in a small rural area. We want to catch bad guys. That's our main goal. We want to serve. There's a difference between serving people and helping people. We help people because it makes us feel good. When I go to church and I help somebody, that's making me feel good. Being a public servant is serving people even when it doesn't feel so good, even when it's dangerous. We took a commitment, we took an oath. And I'm proud of the men and women that get to serve you each. I don't say it enough because I don't get to thank them enough up down the hallway as I walk by there. They put their lives at risk each and every day. We can go from setting like this to the next minute it's somebody shooting, barricaded, somebody beating their wife, domestic, to a bad wreck where somebody's pinned in and entrapped. That cold start to wide open. Look, they take the beating. I'm the guy that gets to run my mouth and come out and brag about what happens. But we are one of the area's leading law enforcement agencies. I dare you, pull up your crime stats, pull up what we're doing. We're one of the area's leading with what little bit we have. We've been fortunate. Now, I couldn't do that out of Sporting Commission. Can't do that without a lot of factors that go in there. And I know what y'all see. But I know there's men and women up there. I don't have to vote, so I can always voice my opinion because I'm not the guy that has to pass the vote. Life is easy. But at the end of the day, we're at a stage in our life, just like Ms. Sarah was bringing up earlier, the consolidation issue that I kind of touched on. People are going to have to look at doing things differently. And we want the best that we can afford. constitutionally, law enforcement's illegal. That's written in your Florida Constitution. The governor's got safeguards, but if they want to decide that they want to cut my budget, there's some legal laws in that. In fact, now that they kind of protect us. I like to say, yeah, that's good for me, but you got to also look at the taxpayers, and not everybody in the county is a taxpayer. But we have to look at the best way and use the dollars. So now I think you're going to see, Ms. Sarah, some of those things you're talking about as the city's looking at their budget, as the city of Lawley, the city of Brook, everybody's looking, and we're all in the same crisis. We're not a wealthy county. We're not. So, like I say, a lot of times we do more with less, and sometimes we have to do more with nothing. No, sir. Well, yes, the 2022 has been approved. It's 2021, 2022. And I'll tell you, our budgets are different in the state. I'll kind of tell you, the state of Florida, budgets start out in July.
My question with that is, in your budget, you might have any unfortunate.
No, sir. Actually, I can tell you this. Last year, the county, the Board of Commissioners cut some positions, but those positions got absorbed into ours. For the road inmate work crews, got absorbed over, but no, we've not cut any positions. Over the years prior to, if you go back over the 10 years, when we were cutting positions, the county was adding some positions. And then this year, when they cut some positions, they actually, because we need them, they got moved over to, but now they funded it. They moved them over to the sheriff's office. It made my budget look a little higher in regards to it. This year, we got to look at it again, even if we don't increase. Remember, the governor's given us $500,000+, so we'll still increase our budget. It's just where it comes from. So a lot of those things that you see in appropriations, jail set-aside funds, those are revenues we're generating that are being used. So we have to be mindful when people say, oh my gosh, his budget just went up $500,000. That's going to be able to pay the people that certain minimum salary required by law. But no, sir, we have not cut in. When we do the budgets, the state of Florida does theirs July. Ours start October 1. That way you kind of know what funding you're getting from the state before the county can prepare their budget. And it's crisis management sometimes because we don't know. No fault of the Board of Commissioners, no fault of the county manager. Sometimes the state don't tell us until September what road funds you're going to get. Your county road department says $18 million. Well, it's not an $18 million budget really, but they have to show because of GASB, Government Accountability Standards, that they have to show that those SCAP, and I may be saying those acronyms wrong, and the county manager's here. The state may give you $6 million for roads this year. That sounds like a lot, but it costs $1 million a mile, on average, to pave a road. You know, and they're trying to get some of the roads that aren't paved, and they're trying to fix some of the roads that need to be fixed. It doesn't go very far in a small rural county. So when you say, oh my God, they got $18 million, that's what the state gave us this year. Next year they may give us none, or it may be $3 million. That's where you see their budget kind of do this. Emergency medical services, management services that we have with the Allen runs. The state gives us different funds. So we don't know sometimes until mid-September. We're trying to vote and approve that budget by law before October 1. So that's the reason sometimes it gets confusing to the average citizen. And then I've heard people say, you need to run it like a business. I don't want to argue with my friends. But businesses are in the business to make money. We provide a service. And what you want is to hold us accountable to make sure, look, you understand me not solving every crime. It's never going to happen. But you do expect me to be accountable for every penny you give me. You have a right to know. You know, with 101 employees, 60 plus vehicles, in regards to take-home vehicles, we got boats, like I said, we have all those different array of things that go in our vehicles. Two command posts we got from Clay County. That was redone with inmates. Probably one of the state-of-the-art command posts. Don't look like it. Looks like an old Winnebago. We drove here, y'all run us out. But inside, it's state-of-the-art technology. 1 year we got a grant on the side-by-side. I got a $20-something thousand Polaris. We got a grant we didn't spend. And we called them up and said, how do we return this money? We just didn't have time during the COVID. Everything was going crazy. Setting up vaccine sites and all those type of things. And the guy said, well, you're a rural county, right? Yeah. Well, you got to spend this much money. Don't you need a side-by-side? So poor Major Con Kill's going back and forth dealing because they're on state contract. We didn't have a chance to bid it. Goes on state contract and finds it. And he said, well, I need to add bigger tires. Well, I need to add a windshield. Well, we just try to get to that dollar amount, and I think a $24,000 vehicle cost us $14. That we overspent because they didn't want the money back. And people say, oh my gosh, look at what they're spending, look at what they're buying. No fault of our own. We're doing the right thing, but they don't want that money back. It causes more work going backwards than it does forward. Our SWAT vehicle came from Marion Vehicles, an armored vehicle. You know, you put that on the insurance, you say, oh my God, that thing's a $150,000 vehicle. Well, no, we got it donated. We still have to maintain it. We still have to insure it. But we couldn't afford to go out and get one ourselves. Matter of fact, we just had a sheriff call me up and said he got one as old as that. He says, we'll give you a deal. I said, what's the deal? He said, $85,000. No, thank you. Have a nice day. That's how some of our property, a lot of ours comes from seizures. We've seized our Teen Driver Challenge car. That's all striped up. That donated back then we got for our Teen Driver Challenge to teach your teenager how to drive. That came as a seized vehicle. And then somebody volunteered and donated to put it striped, and we use it for skidding, and the kids get to have it's kind of fun actually. We put the tires on and get the slide aside, we'll teach them how to brake. But there's a lot of things like that. But it's the same way on the fire side, it's the same way on rescue side, it's the same way. But so when you see numbers, don't necessarily always panic. Should we be more accountable? Yes. That's the reason when I became sheriff, we said we'll do town hall meetings and let everybody know. I just think it's the best resource to go directly to the people. So, any more questions? Yes, sir.
So what's the policy on four-wheelers, tearing up the ditches?
In Bradford County, if the road is posted 35 or less, they can drive. If it's paved, if it's paved, no sir. It's got to be street legal. Now, I can tell you this, we deal with that complaint numerous times a day. Numerous times. Now, we do have golf cart communities in Bradford County. Keystone Golf and Country Club, where I live, Star Golf and Country Club. Those are golf cart communities, but you know how many are really golf carts anymore? The state's actually looking at that statute. They're trying to address it because now everybody owns one. When I grew up, we had to barefoot it. You know, we was hoofing it. Shoe Leather Express, if you had shoes. So what, from school, but those are addressing. We deal with it, and it's funny, in my neighborhood, the two serious incidents we've had with the four-wheelers haven't been kids. It's been drunk adults. In the county, it's usually drunk adults. It's, we do have kids, and summertime's going to come, and we'll be dealing with it because mom and daddy's going to work, and guess what? Or they sneak out of the house when mom and daddy go to bed. Most of our late shift can tell you they'll catch some kids. Now, we have a policy unless we know they've committed a crime, we are not going to pursue those things. That's somebody's child, that's somebody's children, and what's the law they're violating, and kids will do stupid stuff and flee. We try to balance it out. It's a judgment call on the deputy, but we've had kids seriously hurt by chasing them, they wreck and crash, or they run out in front of you, or your wife, or your daughter, your son driving. It's a balance. There's not an easy answer. I'd like to tell you there is, but there's not.
I got a question concerning that.
Yes, ma'am.
What about when we're on the railroad track?
Trespassing.
And we call and we say, they're on the railroad track out here in Sanford City, and you're going across the train trust. Nothing on do. They
What?
go down a private road. Nothing on
If they're on private, that's on private property. The railroad, our problem is getting our vehicles down there. Still, you have to have somebody to do the trespassing. It gets into a balance now who do the actual trespassing on it. You get them stopped. Who's doing the trespassing? If I call up Mr. Jones at 2 o'clock in the morning, say, hey, Mr. Jones, we got a four-wheeler, anybody? It's getting somebody. The railroad, if we catch them, but I'm going to tell you, it's tough to drive a patrol vehicle down a railroad track. Now, if you get beside them, if they don't stop, a lot of them do stop.
Shootings out there
Any shootings?
with them, yeah.
I'm not aware of any.
Was
There's
that
been-
track?
Yes, ma'am.
If there ever was, that person called and said they're hovering over there at the train trestle or anywhere on the train track. We've heard that it's very early in the morning.
I don't know. Josh, you're, I'm not aware of any. If anybody called in.
This has been like, in the past, I was saying the last couple of years, not before the virus.
Yes, ma'am.
Before the virus. When there were so many, during the time that one of them was killed, and we had the new service out there. and so-
Well, we've had a bunch of, that was killed over in Putnam County, in Hallwater or whatever it is. That was a local man killed a hog roller, then they had the funeral procession, they used all the four-wheelers going down for the funeral. Yeah, there's about 100 of them in the funeral services. But we kind of kept corralled to do that. But yes, it's an issue. We deal with it every day.
But when they disturb the people at 3 a.m. in the morning who are asleep.
And you know who most of the time that is? Drunk adults.
Well, that may be.
That's what I'm saying, it is, and we do stop them. And we put some people in jail for DUI. We've had DUIs off of them. And then we've had some disorderlies because you try to stop them and they act a fool and act stupid. Yeah, and they do. I mean, like the last time, bless the one poor soul couldn't get his started, so he got caught. I mean, bad luck for him, but today's your day, he got caught. And we charged him. I was down here in Keystone, actually, down here in one of the little holes there, all like to hide, and they all jumped and spread when the deputy pulled up, one couldn't get cranked. Shame on you, we got you today. We ain't got to be, you got to be lucky all the time, we just got to be lucky sometimes. Isn't that? But yes, that's a constant problem. Mr. Dolly, go ahead, sir.
I'm getting better speed. I'm up this year. I've been on you a long time. And I know you can do things and get big. I want to know when we gonna get a red light right here.
That's our fight. I was telling you earlier, we've been fighting, and you got some people in this room who have been fighting with DOT going on 4 years? At least 4 years. We've had meeting, and we've had our state representative Bobby Payne, we've had our Senator Miss Bradley, and DOT, if you ever heard that they call the swamp, because nobody's elected in that office, it kind of falls on deaf ears, and then they go by, well, there's not enough skid marks. Well, hell, if I knew you were judging skid marks, we could fix that problem. I promise you, we need some new tires on the swamp cars when we get done with it. There'll be some skid marks. You know, or their thing was, well, there's not enough fatalities, so you mean somebody's got to die. These are the issues, and there's people in this room that sat in those same meetings. Our commissioners heard the same issues. There's no doubt with these motorhomes and the amount that we have coming and going, there is no justification why we shouldn't have a red light. Because I go in our community where it's a lot less dangerous, and they got red lights. In neighboring areas right here that are dangerous. When you're talking these motorhomes and pulling something behind it, and pulling in, and the traffic and the subdivision going in now, and the amount of people that live here. We had a fatality right here at the top of the hill on 21. I mean, I can go, been here long enough, there's been fatalities there before. I've seen them hit so hard they're knocked over into the little pond just around the curve. I mean, I know that, but Mr. Honorable, we're going to keep fighting. We've not given in yet. We're still arm twisted and using, but we're calling our state reps and our state senator. We are still fighting the fight, but we do need one. I'm with you 100%. So let's keep our voices loud. Yes, ma'am. I tell you what, we'll get the addresses and we'll put them here. With the boss man, we'll get those things with address, and y'all can write letters. The more they hear, and your state representative will get their contacts. We got a new one for Bradford County, Chuck Brannon, he'll be Bradford, Baker, Union, Columbia, part of Waldo and High Springs. But we still have a fighter in Bobby Payne, which will still be right next to us. I mean, just right down the road, buttoned up to us. Chuck Brannon and I actually went to the Law Enforcement Academy together. So we've known each other well for many, many years. So we're going to keep that fight in another direction and get another one on board to keep this, because I'm telling you, I just don't understand it. We've done, with a lot less, we've done more. And for whatever reason, I don't know if there's a secret somebody has that they won't allow one to be put there, but that needs to be put there. We probably need to move our trash dump site back where it used to be when I grew up as a kid to get that out of the way so we can bring other business here. We got a restaurant, and get that traffic from right here at this intersection. I think will help us tremendously. We're working with some of the commission and doing those things and looking at what it would take in regards to it. Anything else? Well, I want to give you all this. If you got a pen handy, and I didn't put it up on the board, I want to give you my personal cell phone number. Hey, everybody else has got it, I promise you. But if there's ever a question, a lot of times if I don't know the number, it goes to voicemail. But if you send a text and tell me your name, I forward it to my administrator, or I forward that message to the colonel, or I forward that message to, sometimes even if I'm busy with the grandkids, like tonight, I'm missing a baseball game. Even when I'm busy, I know the right person to get it to. If it's something with the county, if it's the road department, a tree down crossing your road, if it's something you need to see the county manager, they'll tell you, I'll flip that message to the appropriate person to make sure we try to get things done. And my cell phone number is 352. Put it in your phone, I'll give you time. 352 494 3328. 352 494-3328. I had that number when there was such a thing called Nextel. Then we had Blackberries. So now I have an iPhone. So it's amazing the technology you have that we can do with it to get it to the appropriate. Look, the sheriff hears a little bit about everything. I eat at different places every morning. I eat at different places at lunch, and I go to a lot of events. We can't do what we do without your voice. Yes, ma'am. 3328. That's it. But if you put 3326, that's the police chief in Starks. So, and I got ours way back when we were young men with Nextels. You couldn't get a 904 area code. You had to go to 352. But I do want to thank you for taking your time, because it's just that important that you take your time to come out. We need more people getting involved. Not only what the sheriff's office does, but what your local government does, what your state government does as a whole. Because all politics are local. And I thank you for allowing me to serve you. With that, I'll let y'all spend time.